the work that I really did as part of the Mask Nerd, which is really focused on science communication of respirators, was really driven about, how do we make masks better? How do we tackle a pandemic? Masks work. And I think one of the important things is that we also have to think about in the future that mass studies need work as well. And if we instead of just looking at prevalence of what the start and end goal is, if we look about how cases spread, that tells us a lot more. We think things like genetic sequencing for transmission chains. So we understand who was infected by whom. This is important for healthcare acquired infections. So hopefully in the future, the studies are really designed to tackle how transmission really happens. Clearly in the future, we need to consider design comfort and duration of wear. We also need to include the elderly and the children who are not considered in respiratory standards at the moment. And so we need to transition masks to be just a common fashion accessory. If we think of one most common medically worn device that we all wear, glasses. In fact, some people wear glasses even if they don't need them, right? We need masks to be at that social acceptance, which means they need to be part of our fashion and look cool. The other important aspect is that they require training and tools to measure the fit of the mask. So fit is a very important aspect of respirators, which means that we need low cost and widely available fit testers so that you can go to a grocery store or a pharmacy or to your fire department and have a performance measurement done on your respirator. And one of the most important things also is availability. So if there's a huge equity issue associated with this, that the groups that were most impacted by the pandemic, the elderly, the brown and Black populations of the US, were most impacted by that and had the least access to that protection. What we really want to drive in indoor spaces is get transmission low enough that it's less than R naught of 1, meaning that one individual comes in infected and less than one individual would transmit in that space. And if you do that across every building and space, then we have stopped the pandemic. And what we find in this study is that the light blue plots are different tools to improve the HVAC or to the filtration or adding portable air cleaners or a UV. And what we find is that when you add masking on top of that, masking with any combination of those gets that R naught below 1, which is very critical. And so they're really a complement to do things. So what mask wearing does is buy us time to implement the collective changes that we need as a society, which are those infrastructure upgrades and all of the other things that go with masking. We can use them as a tool to help build the future, to enable all of the things in society that we need to fix so that in the future of 10 years from now, we're not talking about really the pandemics anymore, or at least we have a lot of the biosecurity issues tackled